Here's a question. Give me an example from your dojo of a drill, a specific drill that you did with your guys that promotes this flow and the progression. If you give us example.
So one of the things that we've been, and as a matter of fact, I put the last couple of videos I put out, kind of like what we've been working on. Let's say I'm starting to show them like basic, like arm drags, wrist ties, bicep ties, basic over under pummeling, basic, plumb, like clinch, like work like that.
Yeah.
Working at first in a compliant manner, and then I have them do that. Okay, we're gonna do 30 seconds compliant where you're working one another, and then the final 30 seconds in the minute, like don't let them go. Like hold them there, don't let them go. So they're working like the active resistance, and we'll do those drills, and then we'll do like similar to what you might say like is a Pak Sao type of drill. Like you're just gonna parry, check, and hit, parry, check, and hit. But I'll tell them, and this is where it starts getting hairy, I'll say, it doesn't just have to be a punch. It doesn't just have to be a back fist. You can throw ridge hands, you can throw chops, you can throw palms, like do whatever. And when I tell people do whatever, they're like, oh shit. Like I have to think for myself. Like, yeah. Like just play around. So we'll do all these little drills, separate at first. And then I might show like, okay, here is one of the many applications for a downward block. Here's one of the many applications for, an upward block or a high block. And then this one, and then this one. Okay, you have 4 different variations to play with, unless you know more. But now you're going to add these drills, scale it back 30%, energy or whatever. You could do, when the person goes to grab you for that underhook, if you want to parry it away and throw your counter, do that. Or if the person grabs you, if you're able to seize that wrist and use your upward block or your knife hand block as a strike or to set up a throw, do that. Or if the person's clinching you this way and you're able to level change and duck under and put them in a standing armbar, do that. And I tell people, just play with it. And then that's usually when we start losing people, when it's like, don't do what I do. What I do is what I do, do what you do, even if it's just, and I was trying to use what I was learning from flow rolling and BJJ, like, okay, I might only have 3 techniques that I'm able to do live right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to the bunhei or the bunkai, you might only have 2 moves that you were able to do live when you do these kind of like, slapping hand drills and pummeling drills. Start there, start getting that same position or that same move from all of the other positions and all of the other, whether it's from the trapping the hands or whether it's from the pummeling or whether it's from the clinching or the bicep ties. Get that one. Try to get that one from all of those other positions. Like similarly to how, like, before she got head kicked, Ronda Rousey, how she was able to hit, those certain throws from a multitude of different positions because she fully understood that technique. We'll start there. Let's say your one thing is you trap the arm and you're able to like use that knife hand chop to hit the person. Yeah, like if that's your one move, practice getting that move from other places.
Nice.
From the person throwing a punch at you, the person trying to get a clinch on you, the person, and build your repertoire from there. Instead of it being, you just regurgitating what I want you to do. I want to know what you do, because then if you get good at this one thing, then when you and I go, like I want you to hit me with that. Like I want you to make it difficult for me, because that'll force me to grow, or if you learn how to shut down my one move that I have, then that forces me to evolve.
I made it. Love it, man. I just made a connection to what you're saying. I'm a school teacher. I think you know that, and a lot of my viewers, they know that too. When I teach, this is an academic example, but it's the same to your point. I think when I'm teaching, let's just say they have to do some public speaking, and they have to say present a monologue. Okay, so they have to organize their ideas and then memorize them and then improvise. But they need to pressure test that. So and deliver it in many ways. So I said, guys, take your monologue, memorize it, say it in front of a mirror, say it in front of a wall, say it when you're lying down.
Right.
Lying down. And they go, Mr. Henson, why you want us to lie down? I go, try it. Lie down and say what you're thinking. It's very different when you're lying down and you have to think about something. Yeah. Do it. It's different. Your brain works differently. Say it in front of your dinky brother and sister who's going to be like bugging you and making fun of you and distracting you. Say it. Say it in front of your mom when she's busy. Say it. Try different ways, guys. And then I literally write down all these ways. I go, copy this down, go home and practice it 5 or 6 different ways, and then maybe come up with a bonus way and come and share what else you did.
I know where my mind is going with this one. It's funny that you brought this up. I told the same story like last week.
Yeah.
So, how public speaking is like some people, even adults, it's like their worst fear.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is it, at least in my experience, I don't know if this is been your experience. I mean, maybe it's different because you're a teacher, so you're in front of people.
Yeah, I'm teaching all
the time.
Yeah.
But I said that people who train martial arts for a long period of time, especially if they train in a tough, I look at like that old school kind of training, like it's going to be hard, it's going to be grueling, blah, blah, blah. Public speaking doesn't usually phase those types of people. At least for me, it hasn't. Well, I tell my students, I'm like, you have to do a presentation in school. When you get up there, make sure you know your material, similar to like what you were saying. Make sure you know your material, but just know people aren't going to jump up and throw kicks at you, and you don't have to break a board. You don't have to, experience pain. So just relax and learn to have fun with it. And that's the advice that I can kind of give people when it comes to that.
No, that makes sense. I mean, it's a reality, right? Can't replace experience. You just gotta just do it. That's where sparring is so important. Do you spar, bro? I mean, that's a simple question I ask people. Like, okay, for example, Les Bubka. Have you heard of that name? Les Bubka? Okay. So Les is shout out to Les. I'm gonna be seeing him next week. He sponsored me down to the UK, and I'm gonna be training with him and training and teaching with him and Ian and Brian Bates and Mal Sanchez Jones and all those guys. I'm so excited. But says, yeah, Chris, man, make sure near the end, about maybe 20 minutes, factor in some time for sparring. And they go, oh, you want to test the Canadian guy, huh? And he goes, no. It's just, he goes, no, he's just, we're going to flow. He says, usually the way I run my classes, and this is to your points earlier, we're working on a bunch of skills, and then sparrings, we just test out the skills. Yeah. It's going to get messy, but it's all good. 20%, no ego, 20%. That's it. Just touch. Yeah. And, but just that alone, you get to just test stuff out. Right.
Yeah. Even if it's half power, it's the chance to test it out under some kind of pressure.
Yeah.
And for me, I always tell, especially the younger students, I'm like, look, when you're trying things out, don't always go to your go-to thing, your thing that works all the time. Like, you won't grow. I'm like, look, there's no prize money. There's no like UFC contract on the line. There's not a $10,000 grand champion thing or a trophy or whatever. Yeah. Just play. Just play, and push your partner. Your partner is going to push you, but you don't have to kill anybody. This is not combat. At least not right now. So, same thing I tell the students, like, and getting back to the point of like learning how to deal with pressure. Like I always ask the kids, I'm like, raise your hand if you've ever had the wind knocked out of you.
Yeah.
And like you'll get a couple people that raise their hand, and The ones that don't, they kind of look at you nervous, and I just go, just wait a while. Wait a while. It'll happen.
Oh yeah, it's just a matter of time. What's a burning thing that you want to get off your chest, man? Something that you want to just get out there and tell people that they should be doing. Something that you've that's excited you, that makes you want to keep going forward. I mean, I can tell you at least 5 things, but that's not about me. It's about you today. So
I think people need to get out of their little box of whatever it is that they do.
amen, brother.
Like getting back to you're advocating for people to cross train.
Yeah.
I think not only that, I think that that's key. And you and I spoke about, the idea of seeing your mountain from another mountain.
Yeah.
Like, this is my path that I'm going on. Sometimes I need to step off that path and take a different path so I can get a fresh perspective on the path that I'm normally on. That is so important. And I think the idea of training with the right context, what is this for? What is this particular set of skills for? Is this for competition? Are these there's no way, even though when my knees feel good, even though I can throw 360 tornado kick, would I ever throw that in a real fight? Hell no. Hell no. What is that for? That's for competition, or that's for demonstration, or just showing.
It's cool.
This is for fun. It's just something fun to do. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think people, they get so
but I've seen footage where people have knocked people out with high kicks.
Yes,
I've seen footage, so it's possible.
And that gets back into the one thing that we were saying, people need to train.
Yeah.
You want to be able to pull something like that off?
Yep.
That has to be so Mushin, in the sense that
no
technique
mind.
has to be no mind.
Yeah.
Boom, I'm just gonna throw it. You don't even think of it. It just happens all by itself. People that can do that kind of stuff, they train that.
It's like Billy Jack. The trial of Billy Jack? I'm going to put this foot on that side of your head.
I'm going to take this right foot, and I'm going to whop you on that side of your face.
Really?
Really?
Yes. Yes.
He was a Tang Soo Do guy, I think, right? Or Cook Celona or something. Hapkido. Okay. Yeah.
Bong Soo Han was the one that did
Han, that's right. Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
And that's the thing. Or the other reference I'll make is from the Kill Bill movie, Pai Mei.
Yeah.
You want to have this kind of power?
Yeah.
And then he has her doing the thing a million times. Sure. You want to possess this kind of power? And that's the thing. I think especially in the West, especially in traditional martial arts, and you could blame the McDojos or the McDojang or the, this art or that art. I think the idea of the instant gratification, people want the next belt. People want the next belt. They want the next thing. And they're not willing to put the time in and the dedication. Karate exists for kids in the time period after school and before soccer practice. And then, tomorrow it'll be school and then piano. And then the day after that, it'll be school and then swimming. And then, so it's not the same kind of dedication. And then, and it's not so much the adults, it's more the kids and maybe some of the parents, where it's they want that next thing for their kid's resume. I want that black belt for little Johnny's resume. And it's and I think for us as martial arts instructors, I think that's, and the thing that I've been trying to do is to try to, hey, this isn't for that. If you want martial arts as your resume thing, this really isn't the right academy for you. And I've actually had to, and I know that a lot of the industry people are no, don't turn people away. But if that's not what if they don't want what it is that we do here, then
it's got to be a good fit, right? It's got to be a good fit. Yeah.
Yeah. And I put a similar kind of letter in my student manual on the very first page. If you are a activity collecting parent, for your kid's resume, then this isn't the place for you. Like, you're
Yeah.
gonna sweat. It might be painful. You might
Yeah.
get bruises. You might get bruised egos. You're gonna get mad, And
Yeah.
I put that in the letter. My wife was like, you're gonna put that in your manual? It's like, damn right I am. And I
Yeah.
did. And I think actually as a studio, we grew. I think I put that in there back in 2018 or whatever. We actually grew more as a studio because we were kind of weeding out the people that didn't want what we were selling. So
Yeah.
and that's kind of like my mission for my studio and from the art that I pass on to my kid is I love the tradition, but I also want the functionality. I
Yeah.
also want the practicality and the the utility of martial arts training.
In love it, man. In your studio, just now you're talking about your studio, do you have opportunities where you have guest instructors come in and showcase a different thing, just to give your students different flavors, just a little break
Yes.
things up from what you do all the time? Do you
Yes,
have stuff like that?
And totally not from a I don't feel like teaching today
Yeah.
perspective, but yeah, like we've had Ian Abernethy here a few years ago. He did a whole weekend on applications for Nahanchi Chodan or Shodan, Basai, and that was great. Like, it was packed in here. People had a great time. We had Master Scott Yates, who's a friend of mine. He's a high-ranking Hapkido.
That name sounds familiar.
Yeah, he's a
Scott
high-ranking
Yates.
Hapkido master. And then, of course, my jiu-jitsu instructors we've had here. I've always appreciated someone else's area of expertise, especially when it's like, different than mine. I think there's value in what every instructor has to say. And even if a student or myself is able to pick one principle and make it theirs and take that, I think it's then it's a win. We had a gentleman named John Farmer. He was a Filipino knife fighting based practitioner, trained under I think his name is Rick Tucci in Princeton. He was also a former Navy SEAL. He came and did a knife seminar here, which was
That must be fun.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So like I think that and Evan Pentazzi with the Kyusho International, talking about vital points. And my opinion is, even if a certain set of skills is not for someone, like, how do you know unless you're kind of exposed to it? Because whereas I might not be able to do Hapkido at a high level, but one of my students might be able to.
There you go. Love that, man. You see, like, it's like somebody's difficult is somebody's easy. Somebody's easy, somebody's difficult.
Yeah.
Somebody's cheap could be somebody's expensive, and somebody's expensive could be somebody's cheap, right?
Exactly.
It's the same thing, man. For example, and this is not a dig at this instructor, Vladimir Vasiliev.
Yes. Yes, I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he himself, and I know some people who know him directly and stuff, and he's a monster. That guy knows his stuff, right? But his students are different from him. His students can't pull off the stuff that he does. And so like he gets shafted all the time, like this with this no touch stuff. And okay, that's a little bit ridiculous. I don't understand that. But his other stuff where he's flowing around the knife and hitting you as he can actually pull that off. I know some people who've told me that he can pull that off, but his students can't, because guess what? His students are not him, right? To your point, he can. I mean, it's important for like you're doing, you're exposing your guys to so many different opportunities. And then it's up to them to see what sticks, right? Like I just wanted to bring this up because to give you an opportunity to share with you what currently I'm doing for my grading. So I've got a guy who's grading. He's a police officer. He's a defensive tactics instructor too in his division. So his self-defense is pretty strong. And he's a classmate of mine too. Like our teacher, may his soul rest in peace. He passed away in 2015. And then he was teacherless. So at the funeral, he hooked up with me and he's going, "Hey, Chris, man, you still do this stuff?" And I go, "Yeah, man." So he says, "Do you mind?" And I go, "Not at all." So he's my student now. And, to pay homage to my teacher, his name is Vic. He's like, I was learning under him, but he says, "Listen, go off and train with other people." bring it back and let's see how you're doing. You know, if there's anything that I can use from you, or if there's anything I can help you with, no problem, right? But the point is, there was no ego, nothing, right? So get this, my student, we set a date. December is his grading. And you know, he's training with me, you know, stand up, trapping, takedowns, all that stuff, a few kata, lots of bunkai. But I'm not a strong ground guy. So, but at Karate Unity, it's a teaching and training collective. So it's basically a bunch of instructors from traditional martial arts, combat sports, and tactical combatives. I said, listen, I'm going to fill that gap. I want you to go and see, Renshi Scott Taylor. And he's an amazing grappler, right? Japanese jiu-jitsu. The guy's got cauliflower ears. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to be spending some time with him. And then I said, listen, I can help you clean up your striking, but I want you to get another perspective on striking. I want you to meet Sifu Vas. So he's a JKD, Muay Thai, Savat kind of guy. And then I'm going to get him to meet some other people, and the list goes on. So he's going to not only get training from me, but he's going to touch hands with all these other guys. And he's expected at his grading to showcase how he's incorporated all of these things in his sparring.
Yes.
Right.
And when you look at that and look at history,
yeah,
that's traditional.
Yeah.
That's traditional. All the, you know, you can name drop all the old masters from like the 1800s and probably before, they all cross-trained.
Yeah.
And I think it was Ian Abernethy that mentioned, it might have been Funakoshi that said, you know, our masters didn't suffer like, you know, the petty differences. You know, it wasn't like, you're my student now, Chris, and you can't ever look at anything else anybody ever does because our style is the one true style and the ultimate in everything martial arts. You can't ever look at anything. You know, it's like no, like nobody has a monopoly on truth.
Yeah,
nobody does.
Yeah,
you know, and like you said, some people's good, or some people's easy is other people's hard. Like there's things that this guy might be able to pull off, but he can't pull off the same things that this guy can pull off, you know? And I think, like you said, this is the best time to be a martial artist because there's so much information out there. And sometimes like I'll get on a kick just for the heck of it. Like I want to know about Japanese sword fighting today.
Yeah.
YouTube, and you know, let's see who's good at that, just because it's cool and it's fun and it's fun to practice. Do we walk around with samurai swords nowadays? No. But I can use some of those same principles if I were to pick up a golf club, a hockey stick, a baseball bat, you know, like, you know, if I'm playing outside with my kid and, you know, ninjas jumped out from behind the trees and I gotta fight them, you know, like you can take the lessons from, you know, the ancients, so to speak. And if you have a good imagination, you can apply it, you know, to modern stuff. And I just think, you know, people just need to step outside their comfort zone and just play and experiment and not be so bogged down of this is how we do it and this is always how it is. Like no, use your imagination.
100%. I'm really glad to know that you're doing all this. I mean, I think instructors need to be open-minded and have other people in. I'm in school, okay, in private organizations too. Like I this is my second job as a teacher. I'm a school teacher during the day, and my side gig is martial arts, right? But prior to that, I was a computer guy. But in computers and in education, what happens? For example, in education, the principal always, you know, does some sort of like maybe once a month, or if he has division leaders, the division leaders are responsible for organizing some professional development for the team. So they'll get us to study some stuff and, you know, integrate it into a lesson and present it to the team. And, you know, we're always like trying different things out, or we'll have some guest speakers in, and, you know, we're responsible for taking notes and implementing it and blah, blah, blah in the private sector and even in the public school system. Right. But then there's this huge disconnect in some martial arts schools where, you know, you're just learning one curriculum. I'm glad to hear that you're doing all this kind of stuff. And like, you know, I'm building slowly by slowly. Like I honestly, this is a reality. If anyone ever needs a striker, I've got at least 3 guys that know how to do that. Grapplers, weapons guys, traditional weapons guys, tactical combatives people. I mean, they're all my friends, right? And so like I don't know half the stuff they know, but so like for my grading, like I said, I'm going to show my student the core curriculum, but then he has to go and learn from all these other guys.
Yeah.
And they're all my friends. I trust them all, right? And they're all going to be part of the grading, and they're all going to sign up on a certificate, right? So my student's nervous as hell, man.
But that's good. I really like that approach when
Yeah.
it comes to grading, and I think this is something that we kind of talked about, you know, adding into the notes. I think more instructors need to, you know, whether it's us or our students or whoever, I think promoting a movement to implement more of a practical approach to martial arts training, where you're taking the tradition and, you know, and merging it with the modern and with the applications to make it more of a holistic style. You know, whether you're incorporating the bunkai to the traditional movements or whatever, but I think that needs to happen more. Like that, like what you're doing and what I'm attempting to do, and some of the other like more like well-known names like Ian Abernethy, he's fantastic, and some of those guys over in Europe. Like why is that the exception? Like that should be the rule. You know, traditional martial artists should be doing that. Like I think that, you know, what you're doing is fantastic. I think more people need to do that. I think that needs to be commonplace, because it is in MMA schools.
Yeah.
It is in jiu-jitsu academies. You know, putting a practical approach to whatever it is that they do.
Most coaches in sports do that, man. Like I think about it. Okay, let's go back to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Okay, I have a poster of him in my gym right over there. But such an inspiration, that guy. 7 or 8 or 9 times Mr. Olympia or something like this, right? For his posing routine, okay, he turned to ballet. He cross-trained in ballet.
Wow.
To get that pose, and to like lean forward and just gracefully, you know, expose his mass, you know what I mean? And just go from one pose to the next. He trained in ballet. You know what I'm saying? He had a what's it? Some dancers, they'll swim so that they'll hook up with a swimming coach to get, you know, vocal singers. They have a team of people like to practice their breathing and all these kind of things. You know what I'm saying? So like cross-training in specific skill sets help your core skill set. Yeah. It just, it's a no-brainer. It happens in every faction, in every institute. And so well,
that's like you being from Canada. I don't know how much you follow ice hockey, but
duh.
Me, right. Like I'm a huge like hockey was the sport that I played in school. And it's funny, I used martial arts type things when I played. For example, I played center. So I'd take face-offs. Well, I would get in a horseback stance, you know, or like, you know, and I'm not a big guy. So like when I was in front of the net, I used to get like really low with my stick on the ice. You know, to try to intercept, you know, just causing havoc for the goalie. And a lot of times, because I was so short, the only way people could move me was illegally, because I would get like really low. But anyway, a few people that I know who were Tung Sudo instructors trained some of the Philadelphia Flyers in the 80s for the stretching. You know, for how a front stance is a similar movement to a skating stride.
There like you go.
It has certain things that are you know, shared, you know, attributes. So they, you know, a couple players trained with the few people that I know and their kids as well for the leg strength and the stretching. And so it's like, it's exactly to your point, you know,
biomechanical principles, man.
That's right. That's right.
So yeah, fun stuff. Okay, so we talked about this before, Mike. You know, the silliness that that we do as martial artists. I'm a geek. I got it in my DNA. I'm in a car, okay, and I'm on a light, and I've got the steering wheel, and I'm using it as a mukjang.
Yep.
Okay, go.
Yep.
Your turn. Give me a funny,
Yep.
stupid example.
Sometimes when I'm making a turn, you know, I'm practicing, like I'm turning the wheel, and then I have to come under my other hand and I make the turn.
Mawashiyuki.
Yeah, you know, like
Yeah.
like stuff like that.
Anyway,
I have
go
a
ahead.
I have a small flashlight that I'm kind of using as an example. Like I'm holding
Sexy.
it like this,
Yeah.
you know, but with a bottle cap, and you use the front kick and we would try to throw it at each other's faces. That was fun. Dumb karate games that we used to play
That's
as teenagers.
whack.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm having a great time this afternoon with you. Before we go, I want to give you an opportunity to like promote anything you'd like, or end with some words of wisdom.
My advice to students or people that are, you know, new in the path in martial arts is, number one, never neglect the value of repetition, you know, and you got to get the reps in to perform something at a higher level, you know, and I'm not talking about, you know, 10 times or 100 times or even 1,000 times, but if you want to perform something at a really high level under pressure and have, you know, accuracy and whatever, you got to do something like tens of thousands of times.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a big thing.
That comes from repetition. It's constantly doing it over and over and over again. You can do it in your sleep, and it's just that helps you become better, I believe.
Thing. And I think the other principle would be, people need to view training as if it were an iceberg. You know, most people only are concerned with what you see above the surface, you know, whereas, you know, this is just kicking, this is just punching, this is just blocking, that's all there is. And I think, you know, a serious martial artist needs to fully explore what's underneath, you know, in order to find a deeper meaning, and then train that. They have to train that. It's not enough to just know that that's out there. It's important to kind of like make it become part of you and train
Nice.
it. For me, anybody that's interested in what I'm doing, my YouTube channel is youtube.com/Master M Celona. That's Celona. We have a number of videos and training tips of all different topics, not just the practical, application stuff, but fun stuff as well. My current thing that I'm doing is called Bunhei Journey. And for those that didn't catch it, Bunhei is the Korean translation of bunkai, meaning to break apart and disassemble and analyze. And it's basically, I don't, see myself as knowing everything. Like even in this, in this thing, practical application, I consider myself as a novice, and I think the Bunhei journey is like my exploration into, the practical meaning behind, what it is that I've been doing for almost 32 years. So, one thing for me in the future is I want to create a separate, we're going to be creating a separate page, maybe on Facebook or maybe a channel on Rumble or YouTube, just for people that are into that, aspect of martial arts training. So, and then for those that live close to the Philadelphia area, if they want to, invite me to do a seminar. I know that you're getting ready for a big trip coming up. That
next week.
I'm so jealous that I'm not able to go.
One day
they could send me an email at mastermcelona@gmail.com.
Awesome. Listen, brother, it was great talking to you.
Yeah, I had
Thank
a blast.
you so much. And guys, if you like this kind of content, please like, subscribe. Check me out on Karate Unity on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram for your source of cross-training and other arts and combat sports and combatives to make your base art better. Chris Hansen signing out. One love, and remember to treat each other with kindness and respect. Peace.
Thanks, Chris.
And that's a wrap.